On the 18th of June 2018, these four men ambushed XXXTentacion's vehicle. Two of them, armed and masked, came down. Both men robbed the rapper, and one man shot him more times than anyone should shoot an unarmed man. Today, those four men have reached the end of the road. The jury has decided their fate, and they've received their sentences for their senseless, violent crime. What are the sentences, and how did they react? You're about to find out. The ridiculous capture of the Notorious Four. The killing of XXX was painful. Painful because he was too young and had not even peaked before his star was snuffed. But it was also painful because the clowns that took him out clearly didn't have a plan. In fact, in the days after their crime, they accidentally aided their capture. And I don't even know if their buffoonery qualifies as accidental. On June 20th, 2018, Dedrick Devon Shea Williams became the first of the four to be arrested. Investigators had identified him easily because he was sloppy enough to post a gram of himself wearing orange sandals and a white tank top that he had worn on the day he committed the crime on XXX's life. The man snitched on himself with a pair of flip-flops, and to put a crown on the clown, staff in the dealership remembered he bought neoprene masks from them that day, the same mask that two of his accomplices wore on the day XXX got clipped. 7 days later, 22-year-old Robert Allen was arrested. By July 10th, a 22-year-old man named Michael Boatwright was in cuffs in the Broward County Jail on drug-related charges when detectives paid him a visit and charged him with an arrest warrant for premeditated first-degree murder. Michael Boatwright, who was the finger on the trigger, had searched accessory to murder and XXXTentacion on his phone's web browser after killing XXX. Finally, on August 7th, 20-year-old Trayvon Newsom was arrested. The unholy foursome was now complete. Now, the world will be forced to wait almost 4 years for their trial and sentencing. Premonitions of death.
You're going to hear testimony and you're going to see evidence about 5 lives. 5 lives that converged on June 18th of 2018, costing the victim in this case, Jose Onfroy, his life.
This Instagram story was uploaded by XXX's father after the police arrested the 4 men linked to his son's death. He asked for life sentences for the 3 men involved, and for the one who pulled the trigger, he asked for the death penalty. It hurts. X's exit was painful to many, especially when you realize that in the months leading up to his death, he moved like he knew something was coming, like he knew he was gonna die. From the famous IG live stream he did back in December 2017.
Worst thing comes to worst, I die a tragic death or some and I'm not able to see out my dreams. I at least want to know that the kids perceived my message and were able to make something of themselves and able to take my message and use it and turn it into something positive and to at least have a good life.
There was also his rant about laws, karma, and karmic cycles.
Study your laws of the universe. The law of attraction, the law of abundance, the law of equivalent exchange. Study your laws, the laws of cause and effect, the karmic cycle. Study your laws.
His friends also stated that in the months leading up to his demise, XXX had beefed with his security and had made it a point to never leave his house alone. A close friend of his named Zyflo could confirm this in an interview with the Daily Mail. He said he did not travel alone. He never traveled alone. He knew that he had enemies. Obviously, he would not go to places alone. Because of this, many people, including his friend, believed it was a hit. They believed he had been whacked by his ops. I mean, XXX wasn't a Boy Scout. He came from Lauderdale and had spent time behind bars on 3 different occasions for armed robbery, all before he was 20. But with time, the truth came to light, and as much as I hate to say this, I wish it was a hit. Don't get me wrong, I wish it didn't happen at all, but it just would have felt more respectable if it was someone with half a brain who actually strategized and planned to take out X. Because what we eventually came to learn was that the 4 guys who took out the rapper were nothing more than lily-livered bozos who happened to catch XXX lacking. They were just a group of 4 opportunistic lowlifes who saw an opportunity at easy cash and leapt at it. The day XXXTentacion died. Investigators say the morning of his murder was normal. He had started off with League of Legends, then he moved on to working on a new song, Chase Glass Shards, that he just recorded about 2 hours before. Then around 2 p.m., his girlfriend calls him. She's ill and needs to see a doctor. So XXX calls his mom, and after their usual banter, he's able to get her to go with his girlfriend to see the doctor. It's around this time that the 20-year-old rapper decides he wants to buy a bike. But remember, he can't leave the house alone, so he gets his stepfather to go with him. They hop in his $150,000 BMW i8 with a $2,000 Louis Vuitton bag and drive to the Bank of America, where the rapper withdraws $50,000 in cash. What are you doing, X? That's a dangerous amount for anyone to carry in cash, especially when you're spooked enough about your safety not to leave your house alone. alone. But I guess we all get sloppy sometimes. Unfortunately for XXX, there were no second chances for him that day. Because somewhere between the bank and the dealership, these four crooks, Michael Boatwright, Trayvon Newsom, Robert Allen, and Dedrick Williams, picked up his scent and followed him. Did XXX recognize the trouble that Robert Allen and Dedrick Williams had in store when the two walked past him in the dealership? We'll never know. But it's safe to say that he most likely didn't. Because when the rapper was done at Riva Motorsports, he leisurely walked out to his BMW with his stepfather. A few minutes later, Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsom jumped out of the car and demanded X's Louis Vuitton bag and gold chain. They struggled with him for a bit and successfully snatched the bag. But although they had already gotten what they wanted, Boatwright, who reportedly caught XXX staring him in the eyes, took some steps back and shot him repeatedly in the neck. A few hours later, the Lauderdale rapper was declared dead. Trial and sentencing. In the years leading up to the case, the prosecution built a case against the four men. I mean, I don't imagine it was that difficult, especially when you consider how sloppy these individuals were. Aside from the CCTV footage inside and outside the Riva dealership, there was also footage that the guys had taken immediately after the hit, where they flaunted bands of $100 bills.
Put that in 205.
I can pull it up.
Okay, and the items or the currency that is being held by Michael Boatwright. Do you recall if that is from the robbery in this case?
They even had bullet casings at the scene of the crime that matched guns still in the possession of the four arrested. I mean, you can't make this up. Then in 2022, Robert Allen, the least complicit accessory to XXX's murder and had been in the vehicle throughout the hit, pleaded guilty and agreed to confess.
You'll also hear about Robert Allen, who's not seated here today, but you'll hear directly from him. He'll testify, he's in custody, and he'll tell you about his role with respect to what happened and the planning and everything that happened with this homicide.
Now the prosecution had both a star witness and a truckload of evidence. In trial, Robert Allen, whose sentencing is still pending, testified that they had all set out with the intent to commit a robbery. They had just happened to spot XXX at the store when they were going to buy their masks. XXX was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he was an easy target with a bag of cash. However, the defense attorneys accused Allen of being a liar and mentioned Drake as a more credible suspect. I guess when you have nothing, you make it up as you go. The nail in the coffin came in the form of a series of evidence that put an end to the entire case. Printout of a series of text messages that Boatwright sent from 10:30 a.m. when he woke up till about an hour after the shooting. He sent at least 17 messages to different people. One was about renting the getaway car they eventually used in the shooting. Another was a text after the shooting where he said, "Tell my brother I got the money for the new phone." Then, one other important text was in the form of a screenshot that had the headline of XXXTentacion's death. In 7 days, the jury came to a decision. Michael Boatwright was found guilty on all charges, life imprisonment without any hope for parole. Trayvon Newsom was also found guilty on all charges, with no possibility of parole. And Dedrick Williams was also found guilty on all charges, life imprisonment without any hope for parole. Robert Allen's fate will be decided in the months to come. He could get life, or he could get time served and walk free. It all depends on the prosecution. For the meantime, the family and fans of XXXTentacion can breathe freely. Justice was served at last.